My name is Calla Menendez, and at 35, I've learned that being the eldest child in a fractured Southern family means you inherit every burden except the ones you actually want. While my brother, Reese, grew up charming, reckless, and endlessly forgiven, I became the one who locked doors, paid bills, and cleaned up disasters no one ever admitted were his. I've spent most of my adult life feeling like an outsider in my own bloodline, useful but never truly wanted. Still, none of that prepared me for the betrayal that would detonate 3 days after a wedding I wasn't invited to. And it started with the knock I should have never opened. The call came at 6:37 p.m. I was chopping rosemary in my kitchen, barefoot, playlist humming low from the lake house speakers. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in months. Ellison Geiger. I answered on reflex. Uncle. He sounded too casual, too timed. Hey kid, make it to the wedding. What wedding? Silence. Then a breath too long. Reese. His wedding. Last Saturday. I stopped slicing. The knife tapped the cutting board. You're joking. I thought, Jesus, Calla. Another pause. They didn't tell you? I didn't answer. My heart had already started sprinting. I hung up, pulled up Reese's Instagram. First photo. Tuxedo, forest background, Leah in white, veil like mist. Second photo, champagne toast. Third, group shot. Mom. Dad. Our cousins. Even Uncle Ellison blurry in the back. Everyone. Except me. I didn't pack. Didn't even grab a jacket. I was on the road within 15 minutes, phone silenced, GPS screaming back roads toward Asheville. The mountain air outside was dark and wet, pressing against the windshield like something alive. I drove like the truth was a fire behind me. You don't come back from being excluded like that. Not silently. Not cleanly. 3 hours later, I pulled up outside my parents' house. It looked like a holiday card. Porch lights glowing, wind chimes swaying, a golden retriever asleep under the swing. Everything too normal. Like the past week hadn't just erased me. I didn't knock. I opened the front door. Laughter spilled from the kitchen. Glass clinked. Chairs scraped. Someone popped open a beer. Then, the sound shifted. Stopped. I stepped in fully. Their faces were turned toward me. No one said a word. Dad's fingers clenched the armrest. Mom touched her necklace. Reese stood near the fridge, half smile frozen. The silence had the weight of a wall. You forgot to send me the invite, I said. No one corrected me. No one apologized. Mom cleared her throat. Calla, sometimes it's just easier. You don't do well with tension. Reese shifted. It wasn't personal. Then why am I the only one not in the photos? No answer. I nodded. My pulse felt like it was in my throat. They didn't forget. They decided. I turned to leave. Then I saw it. On the sideboard, half covered by a napkin. A manila folder labeled in my mother's careful print. Menendez property. Temporary use. I snatched it before they could move. Inside, a signed letter of intent. My name. My signature. A scanned notarization. Date, 10 days ago. I never signed it. What is this? Reese stepped forward. We needed somewhere for the reception overflow. Leah's family, some of our investors. My hand shook. You forged me. No, we. I didn't wait. I took the file and walked out. The night air bit. My breath fogged in the dark. You can survive a betrayal, but when it's signed in ink, notarized, and filed behind your back, that's war. But when I got to their door, the wedding photos weren't the worst thing waiting for me. I didn't sleep. I sat at the edge of the bed in my Asheville motel, the manila folder in my lap like it might detonate if I let go. The room stank of bleach and someone else's perfume. The wall AC rattled like a warning. I hadn't turned on the lights. I needed the dark. The dark didn't lie. It was my signature. Curved, sharp, nearly perfect. But not mine. The notary stamp was clean. Too clean. I scanned it 3 times. Something was wrong. They didn't just go behind my back. They'd tried to erase the only boundary I had left. My name, on a transfer of use form, granting temporary rights to Reese and Leah for event hosting. Bullshit. I stood, grabbed the folder, stuffed it into my jacket. I needed proof, and I knew exactly where they kept it. Mom's filing system never changed. Same glass front cabinet in the den. 3rd drawer, labeled Personal Legal Property. I didn't knock. I walked through the back gate at 2:14 a.m., crept past the deck, ducked under the camera that never fixed the blind spot, and slid the door open. The dog didn't bark. That was worse. The hallway was too quiet, too still. Every picture frame stared. My heart thudded in my ears as I cracked open the cabinet. Cold wood, paper rustle. I flipped past medical records, Reese's college forms, until I saw it. A matching copy. Same form. Different ink. Except this one had something extra. A second attachment. A scanned email chain between Reese and a man named Darren Loma. Subject, use approval. Once she signs, I'll handle filing. No loose ends. Just make sure the access codes work. Access codes. My lake house has a smart lock. 2-factor verification. Connected to my private server. Which means someone had access to my credentials. Or worse, my server. I snapped photos. Pocketed the flash drive. Clipped inside the folder. Backed out. Stopped at the kitchen door. Voices. Low. Urgent. Reese. And another voice. Female. Calm. Flat. Leah. I pressed against the wall. Listened. She doesn't know yet. But we need to shut it down before Monday. She won't let it go. She will if she values what's left. Silence. Then a lighter flicked. I left. Back in the car, I dumped everything onto the passenger seat. The flash drive had a red sticker. Loma core files. I plugged it into my laptop at a gas station 10 miles out. Bright lights. Coffee machine humming. A security guard watching me through the glass. Inside the folder, PDFs, transaction receipts, property evaluations, valuation notes on the lake house, and a line in bold. Marketable once title conflict is resolved. Projecté droit, $1.4M. My house wasn't a wedding venue. It was a mark. They were flipping it. They were trying to steal it. At 6:03 a.m. I called Reese. He answered on the second ring. You went through our files, he said. No surprise. No scam. I know what you're doing. You don't know half of it. A pause. Just come by the lake house. Let's talk. 3 days ago, they got married without me. Now, he wanted to use my house. No, he wanted to own it. Why me, Reese? His voice was soft. Because you never say no. I hung up. People think betrayal is sharp, but it's slow. It drips until you're drowning. I drove straight back to the lake house. The door was unlocked. That was my first alarm. I moved through the hallway fast, low. Nothing broken. No noise. Until I stepped into the kitchen and saw the open cabinet where I kept the deed. Gone. I turned. A shadow moved past the window. Someone had been inside, or was still inside. I grabbed the fireplace poker. Every breath felt like a scream in my chest. Footsteps behind me. Too fast. I swung hard. Empty air. A crash, glass shattering. I ran to the front door and yanked it open. Nothing. No one. Just trees. Fog. Stillness. The kind that watches you breathe. I locked the doors. Every bolt. Every code reset. Then I backed up the flash drive, encrypted everything, and texted Amaya one word, urgent. I sat on the stairs. My hand still shook. This is the part where you realize they were never stupid. I whispered to no one. Just waiting for you to get comfortable. They didn't just leave me out of the wedding. They stole my house. I hadn't told anyone. Not Amaya. Not Ellison. Not even my reflection in the bathroom mirror that morning, though it looked back at me like it already knew I was unraveling. When I woke up, the lock system on the lake house had pinged an access attempt. 2:14 a.m. Denied. Then, again, at 5:23 a.m. This time granted. I changed the codes the night before, which meant someone had found a way around it. Or through me. I reached for my laptop, logged into the network. The override came from a remote device, one of mine, one I decommissioned months ago. No accident. Someone had cloned me. The smell of burned coffee filled the kitchen. My hand trembled when I poured it out. You're not paranoid, I said aloud. You're just finally catching up. At 9:08 a.m., a silver SUV rolled up the gravel drive. I watched from the window, still in sweats. I didn't move. Reese got out. Gray blazer. Casual, like he was here to chat over brunch. Leah stepped out next. Her expression unreadable, like she'd practiced it in the mirror. Then came the third figure, a man in a dark suit, but sunglasses despite the heavy clouds. He didn't smile, didn't blink. He held a black leather folder like it contained a detonator. Reese knocked. I opened the door slow. We wanted to talk, he said. Clear the air. 3 days ago, you left me out of your wedding, I replied. Now you want access to my home. It's not just a house, Leah said. Her voice was soft, almost bored. It's an opportunity. My eyes narrowed. For who? The man finally spoke. Darren Loma. Pleased to meet you. He wasn't. I recognized the name, the email chain, the valuation files. I didn't offer my hand. Reese gestured toward the driveway. Can we come in? Just 5 minutes. No. Loma held up the folder. You might want to read this first. It's already filed with the county. I took it, flipped it open. A new document. Transfer of limited rights. Same forged signature. But this time, it was stamped accepted by a real notary. A different one. My stomach turned cold. You filed this. Yes, Loma said. Legally, you've granted them shared conditional access for event hosting. Temporary, of course. I didn't sign this. You did. Digitally. 2-step authorization. Same MAC address you use for your financials. My throat closed. He had my MAC, which meant they'd been in my system. Reese shrugged. You weren't answering your phone. I slammed the folder shut. You hacked me. Loma smiled. We secured access. You broke federal law. Loma's tone didn't change. Only if it goes to court. Which it won't. You're smart, Miss Menendez. You know how leverage works. Leah stepped forward. We just need the house for 2 weeks. There's a real offer on the line. After that, everything goes back to normal. Nothing is normal. Family doesn't have to fight over property. I looked her dead in the eye. Family doesn't fake weddings, forge documents, and show up with hired threats in Armani. Loma chuckled. Reese's face tightened. You're making this harder than it needs to be, he said. You think you're protecting something, but you're not. You're alone, Kella. No one's coming. Funny, I whispered. I was just about to say the same thing to you. I closed the door, locked it, bolted it, walked straight to my desk. Texted Amaya again now. Emergency. Trace Mac clone. The lake house felt smaller suddenly, like its walls were listening. An hour later, Amaya called. Got your ping. Tracked the Mac clone. Where? Raleigh. Someone booted a ghost system 3 days ago using your credentials. But that's not the crazy part. Give me the crazy part. The notary stamp they used on the last filing? It belonged to Daniel Kress. My chest clenched. That name's familiar. It should be. He died 6 months ago. Stroke. No survivors. His stamp's been reported stolen. The death certificate is online. This document is dead on arrival. I stared at the fireplace. My house was a crime scene. They didn't just forge your signature, Calla. They forged a dead man's. By the time I reached Maeva Tillman's office, my hands had stopped shaking. Not because I was calm, because I was calculating. The reception area was sleek, cold. Steel chairs, frosted glass, the kind of place where silence had weight. She didn't offer me coffee. I didn't ask. We went straight into the conference room. Closed the door. No small talk. I need a legal opinion, I said, placing the file between us. And I need it fast. Maeva slid the folder open, like she'd done this 1,000 times. Her nails were the color of dried blood. Her eyes didn't blink while she read. 5 minutes in, she looked up. This is not sloppy forgery. This is corporate-grade laundering. I thought it was personal. She shook her head. It's business, and you're the asset. I leaned forward. What does that mean, exactly? It means they didn't just fake your signature. They constructed an entire shadow operation around your identity. Multiple filings. One under your name. One under an LLC tied to the name Loma and East Holdings. They're trying to flip the house. No, they're using your house as a placeholder in a larger scam. They inflate its value, leverage it for short-term private loans, pull out before anyone notices the paperwork's rotten. It's not about owning it. It's about moving it. My mouth went dry. And Reese. She hesitated. He's either in on it, or he's the perfect fall guy. Cut scene. Maeva handed me a printout. Highlighted email addresses. You recognize this one? I did. It was Leah's. Your sister-in-law initiated every digital transaction tied to the LLC. Your brother's name doesn't appear once. My stomach clenched. The wedding wasn't a celebration. It was a merger. Back at the lake house, I stood under the porch light. Motion sensor clicked on. A moth flailed against the bulb. I unlocked the front door. Slow. Listening. Nothing. Inside, I double-checked every window, every lock. Then I plugged Maeva's flash drive into my laptop. It was worse than I thought. For different financial institutions. 2 notarized letters referencing me as secondary owner. 1 internal memo. Proceed with final phase once Menendez is neutralized. Neutralized. The word didn't mean dead. It meant silenced. Midnight. The wind shifted outside. Leaves dragged across the roof like fingers. I turned off the lights. Moved to the back hallway. The guest room door was cracked open. I hadn't left it that way. Breath locked in my chest. I stepped in, heart hammering, flipped the switch. No one. But something was off. The window was unlatched. And on the nightstand, a matchbook from the Millhouse Lounge. Downtown Raleigh. Known front for shell companies laundering crypto. I picked it up. Flipped it open. Inside, a tiny number scrawled in red ink. 6 digits. A passcode? I didn't know what it meant. But I knew who might. Next morning, I called Amaya. I need you in person. She didn't hesitate. 3 hours. She showed up in 2.5. Leather jacket. Tension in her jaw. She scanned the lake house before she even hugged me. This place feels wired. Not yet, I said, but close. We pulled up the metadata on the LLC filings, IP addresses, session logs. Amaya froze. This one's from a federal network. I turned. You mean government? No. Someone spoofed a DOJ server to make the document look authentic. You're saying this goes beyond Reese and Leah? She nodded. There's a third party using your identity as bait. Someone bigger. Cut to thunder outside. We were still at the kitchen table when the power flickered. A second later, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Blocked caller ID. I let it go to voicemail. The message was only 6 words. No bris. Just static. And a voice I didn't recognize. You dig too far, you drown. They don't want the house, Kella. They want your name on the collapse. We didn't sleep. Amaya sat at my kitchen table with her laptop glowing like a weapon, fingers flying across the keys. My printer was spitting out documents, transactions, correspondence, metadata, flagged routing numbers. None of this holds without your identity, she muttered. They built the whole damn tower on your name. And if I pull out, they lose everything. Pause. So they'll burn it first. By 6:40 a.m., we had a list of Shell LLCs, all tied back to one contact. Not Loma. Not Reese. Leah. Her name was buried in the fine print of a Nevada filing. She wasn't just involved. She was the operation. She married him to access me, I said aloud. She didn't need Reese. She needed my digital keys. Amaya didn't argue. People think betrayal's a dagger, she said, but it's almost always a plan. Cut to downtown. Maeva met us outside the Asheville Federal Building. No heels, no pleasantries. We're filing a motion for injunction. Emergency hold on property transfers involving your name. I signed without blinking. If they so much as breathe on that house again, she said, they'll be committing wire fraud on top of identity theft. That won't stop them, I replied. It'll slow them. Sometimes that's all you need. Scene break. Reese called me that afternoon. His voice was hoarse, desperate. You went too far, Kella. No, you went too deep. She's pregnant. I blinked. Is that supposed to buy sympathy or time? I didn't know what she was doing. She said it was just to cover our startup costs. She forged a dead man's notary. You think that's a loan? She's in trouble too. I'm not the one who married her. Long pause. Where are you? I asked. He didn't answer. Just hung up. Cut to the lake house. The driveway had tire marks. Not mine. Not Amaya's. Fresh. Mud dragged toward the side entrance. We circled around. The back door was splintered. Not forced open, kicked. Amaya raised her phone, hit record. Inside, drawers were yanked out. Filing cabinet gaping. Boxes overturned. The deed binder was gone. My hands curled to fists. They're cleaning house, I said. No, amiga Guispert. They're removing evidence. The only thing untouched was the fireproof lockbox beneath the floorboard in the pantry. I pulled it out, still sealed. Inside, the original title with a 2014 reissue after my parents signed it over. Handwritten note from my father. His actual signature. He hated legal work. Trusted me. That was the first time I felt the weight of everything. Not just the paper. The years. The labor. The trust that no longer existed. I let them in, I said. I taught them how to use me. Not anymore. Amaya checked her phone. I just got a hit. Remember the matchbook from the guest room? Yeah. The code inside was a PIN. Accessed a restricted server tied to Loma and East. And it opened a vault. She turned the screen. Inside, internal memos, invoices, photos of properties, and one chilling document. Menendez Asset Decommission Strategy. Stage 1, isolate. Stage 2, access. Stage 3, collapse. Stage 4, assume identity. My name was in the footer. This isn't a scam, I whispered. It's a replacement plan. The sun was dropping. Light sharp through the blinds like a blade. Maeva arrived 20 minutes later. She scanned the documents, fast but surgical. This is enough to file a federal complaint. Guair fraude, cybercrime, asset misrepresentation, identity laundering. Amaya added, and if we hand it to the right outlet, you can bury them before they bury you. I nodded, but there was one problem. The documents proved they planned to destroy me, but not that they had. We needed the confession, the voice, The tape. Night fell. The lake house was quiet. Too quiet. I reset every camera, turned off every light, sat in the dark, waiting. I didn't have to wait long. 9:42 p.m. Another knock. The same rhythm as before. But this time, I was ready. If I want my life back, I have to survive the next 10 minutes. The knock came again. 3 times. Then silence. I didn't move. Not yet. Sometimes the most dangerous moment isn't when the threat arrives, but when you open the door to it. I let the silence stretch until it felt like it might crack. Then, I stepped forward, unlocked the deadbolt, cracked the door 2 inches. A single eye stared back at me through the gap. Not Reese. Not Leah. Maeva. She pushed the door open and stepped inside fast. Jacket half-zipped. Face white as glass. I just got a call from an unlisted number, she said, breath short. You need to see this. She held up her phone. On screen, a video was playing. Reese, tied to a chair, in what looked like a storage unit. Concrete walls. No windows. He was bleeding. The audio kicked in. You want the rest of your inheritance, a voice said. Female. Controlled. Sign it over, or your brother won't wake up again. Cut. I felt everything drop out from under me. Where did this come from? I asked. Anonymous dropped to my burner line. 10 minutes ago. Police. Already contacted, but it's federal now. If they cross state lines with him. They already did. Amaya cut in from behind us. The geotags bouncing through 3 mask servers, but the IP originated from Atlanta. They're moving him, I said. Then we move faster. Within 20 minutes, Maeva coordinated with federal agents through her DOJ contact. We traced a private rental van leaving a Loma and East subsidiary office in Decatur, heading west. Reese was inside. I rode shotgun in Maeva's car. Amaya followed in a separate SUV. No talking, just engines and adrenaline. I kept playing the video over and over, looking for something I'd missed. A detail. A sound. On the 6th play I caught it. Wind chimes. Soft. Metallic. At the end. Pause it, I said. Go back. I leaned close. The pitch of the chimes. The echo. That wasn't indoor. That was lakefront. They brought him here, I whispered. What? Maeva jerked the wheel. Back to your property? They want to bury it full circle. Or they want leverage. Amaya's voice crackled through the calm Kala. They're betting you'll trade the house to save him. I won't. Silence. Then Maeva. But you'll pretend you will. Scene cut. We reached the lake house minutes, before sunset. The chimes rang. Same melody. Wind stronger now. We moved in silence. No lights. Creeping through the back entrance where the door had been broken 2 nights earlier. Inside, the air was cold. The kind of cold that lives in concrete and fear. We split. Maeva flanked left. Amaya covered the hallway. I moved down into the cellar. Every step was a thunderclap in my chest. Then I saw him. Reese. Slumped. Hands zip-tied to a pipe. Blood dried on his temple. Alive. Reese, I whispered. His head snapped up. She's here. Too late. Leah stepped out of the shadows. Gun raised. Eyes wild but steady. Everything was fine until you couldn't let go, she said. You married my brother to rob me. I married him because he was weak. Like you. I didn't flinch. You think power comes from erasing people. It doesn't. No, it comes from taking what no one thinks you deserve. She clicked the safety off. I don't need the house. I just need the signature. I raised my phone. Live stream still running. Broadcasting direct to Maeva's encrypted line. You already signed your sentence. She turned. Too slow. Maeva tackled her from the side. Gun skittered across the concrete. Amaya kicked it away. Handcuffs snapped shut. Reese was sobbing. I didn't know, Kala, I didn't know. I know. And for the first time I meant it. Cut scene. Later, under the blue emergency lights, Mavis said it first. Asset laundering through familial fronts. That's a new one. No, I said. It's as old as betrayal. Still think your name doesn't matter? I think it finally does. Weeks passed. Federal charges stacked. The lake house was cleared as evidence. Reese moved into a rehab program. I changed the locks, rewrote every document, set fire to the old binders. Sometimes you don't heal by rebuilding. Sometimes you heal by burning it clean. I stood on the dock alone that morning. Sunrise gold against the water. My mother used to say, "You don't need to be the favorite. You just need to be the one who outlasts the rest." I used to hate that. Now I understand. I didn't win because I was the strongest. I won because I refused to disappear. Some stories end in justice, some in ashes. Mine ends here, still standing.